This video is sponsored by HP. So when you hear the words YouTuber and working from home, probably think of something like this. It's some iteration of the typical tech YouTube setup. You've probably seen this hundreds of times. Probably got two IKEA drawer units holding up a block of wood that is obscenely big. It's got a mechanical keyboard, a wireless charger, some Logitech mouse, and some kind of weird USB accessory. A work from home setup may sound like this, but in reality, it's probably more like this. Being a full-time YouTuber is a dream job. I still can't believe that I get to do this for a living. But working from home has made that a little bit complicated. Usually trying to work and film from home has been fine. My kids were at school during the day. But with the whole pandemic thing going on, my whole family is always at home. I usually have a small desk downstairs, but my parents have been staying with us for the better part of a month while their home was undergoing some construction, so I lost that desk, and I had to build myself a makeshift office in my bedroom. And I wanted to share like a real look at what an actual home office looks like. This was built solely for function and without any consideration whatsoever to form an aesthetic. So I'm gonna pull back the YouTube curtain a little bit and show you my setup. So for starters, welcome to my bedroom. This was the only place that I had room to put a table. And that table that I have is a Costco card table that I borrowed from my mother-in-law to make my makeshift desk. There's nothing fancy here. This wasn't like a $500 desk. This was one I could borrow, and that was available. It's actually worked out pretty well, and I'm using as a chair one of our extra folding chairs we use for guests when we have like a dinner party. We need more space downstairs at our kitchen. To the side of that, I have a little rollable stand that was left over from the old Techno Buffalo office. I kept one of them. It's holding my Rodecaster Pro on it. I've got a monitor that has been really indispensable for me. This one is from BenQ. It's worked out really well. My mouse is a little bit old. It's my Logitech MX Master 2. My Logi Craft keyboard, which I absolutely love. I have, I guess now an older generation Samsung wireless charger that I use to charge my phone when I'm there. So that is my not beautiful, a real functional space. So let's take a little deeper dive. Let me show you the tech and how it's worked really well for me. So the iPad Pro has been a staple for me in my office and home since the 2018 model. I'm using the 2020 model. There's not a huge difference. You're looking to get one, you're better off with the 2018. I actually gave my 2018 to my dad as an early Father's Day and retirement gift. But the iPad coupled with the Magic Keyboard has been really indispensable in this work from home setup. So it's not always on my desk in there. Usually I take it with me when I have to watch the kids downstairs and my wife is out. I'm replying to emails, or the kids are outside on a swing set and I need to write up notes for an upcoming video. It's been kind of my go-to mobile workstation. Having the trackpad and the mouse has been awesome. I'm shocked how often I'm using right click on it. I don't mind how small the trackpad is. I like that it's a physical click. It really has sort of merged the computer and tablet worlds for me. I mean, I use my iPad daily. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not using it for something. And being able to have the keyboard and trackpad has just made it more useful. So filming from home has been tricky. I mean, filming is my job and I needed to keep doing it. But also filming at home with kids and family has been hard. So I've kind of commandeered this little loft area that we have upstairs, and you've seen it in all the videos. This has been sort of our makeshift studio. So this is what it looks like when I'm filming. This is all the stuff that I'm generally staring at. So the microphone right here, it's a Sennheiser, was it MKH50, which has been absolutely awesome. It's attached to a boom pole with an XLR cable inside of it on a C-stand with audio going to our own sort of little preamp. It's a Mix Pre 3. We record that to an SD card and then sync the audio in post-production, so the audio sounds really good. This microphone has been amazing for like a studio setting where it's just sort of capturing things real quickly. From a camera, this has been our workhorse now for the better part of a year, and I think it is the best value for like professional kind of grade cameras. It's the Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro 2. It's not cheap in the camera world, but it's certainly not the most expensive. I think it was about $7,500, and we kind of kitted it out a little bit. So much to my wife's dismay, this giant light here, it's the Aperture 300D. It's been awesome. You can plug in two V-mount batteries, make it portable, but since we're here, we just kind of have it plugged in. So one piece of tech that I've loved having for the home setup, we actually have these LED tubes. They're by Quasar Science. We've got one that's kind of regular white light and one that's this full RGB. It's kind of what we've got behind the couch here. And they've been super awesome to have and use just to get a little bit of color or be able to make things look a little bit different. Like we did the good John, bad John for the iPhone 11 Pro final review. We were able to use those for the red and white lights. And that's just been fun to have at least something to have some creativity in a very small, confined space. So when everything shut down, kind of the beginning of March, my kid's school shut down with it and everything went to distance learning. And in all honesty, I never really gave that much thought to like a printer. But when distance learning happened, everything that my oldest son was doing had to be printed out. Whether it was letters or word stuff that he was looking to do for reading comprehension, we had to print stuff out, he had to do the work, and we had to take pictures and send it in to his teacher. And a printer became something very important, more than it ever been before. So the printer I'm using, it's the HP OfficeJet Pro 8035 all-in-one. So this is kind of where I saw the importance of HP's smart app. So not only did it let me do things like check my ink supplies and like obviously print stuff, but also let me scan documents right from within the app and then print them. Or in my case, I kind of automated everything using what they call smart tasks inside of the app. So I'd automatically uploaded it to Google Drive so I could keep it, and also emailed it over to his teacher. So aside from my kids, how the printer's been invaluable, for the business has become even more invaluable, as I've had to do a lot more remote management of my business as I'm looking to sign a lease on an office and get new business licensing. Now, I could not have gotten through the past 3 months without a reliable printer. So this comes with HP Instant Ink. Essentially, it's gonna give your printer 8 months of delivered ink. So that's the HP OfficeJet Pro 8035. We'll link to it down below. If you want more printer, and I'm gonna say it now, on printer action, stay tuned to the end of the video. We got a surprise for you. So for headphones, I'm usually using two. It's a combination of the Bose Headphones 700 and the AirPods Pro. The AirPods Pro have been awesome. I use them mostly for phone calls when I just want to get away from my desk. I'm not doing a video meeting and I want to walk around. When I'm listening back to video or I'm sort of doing more serious editing, that's where I choose to use sort of the more professional and sort of better audio sound that I get with the Bose Headphones 700. They've got microphones built in for video calls and that kind of stuff. It's like you, I'm probably doing a lot of web conferencing stuff. Zoom, Hangouts, Skype, whatever it might be. For audio, the big board, it's the Rodecaster Pro. It's been a really awesome sort of mixing board. And I also use it for my podcast. If you don't know, I do have a podcast myself, promote it for a second. It's called Geared Up. I co-host it with Andrew Edwards. We bring guests on most week. Check it out, I'll link to it down below. But it has been nice to sort of have that sort of studio type setup for that studio audio. So I liked it for a few reasons. First, I can have the built-in sound effects. That's kind of nice. It's all our processing is done inside of it as well. So things like compression are all done inside. It just ends up with the audio sounding a lot better. It also gives me more functionality. If the world ever opens back up again and I have more guests, I can plug up to 4 XLR microphones into it. And for the gigantic microphone, it's the Rode Procaster. So I know what you're thinking. You're saying, John, your home setup needs a little bit of flair. You know you need some RGB lights in there, but more about that printer. How does it compare to other printers on the market? And I can hear you screaming that loud. So as you're cross-shopping printers, you're probably gonna come across the Epson EcoTank. It's a really popular printer for home and small businesses. So I took the liberty of doing a little comparison for you with the HP OfficeJet Pro 8035 and the Epson EcoTank line to help you decide which printer you should keep in your house or office for all of your valuable printing things. I mean, the big one is price. $199 for the HP OfficeJet Pro 8035, where if you want to pay an extra $100, you can get the Epson EcoTank. So now obviously with printers, a big one is ink. You've got the OfficeJet 8035, it uses HP's ink cartridges that are really easy to install and you can just use them right away. You're also gonna get 8 months of ink included with instant ink service. So the Epson, on the other hand, uses a tank design that uses special ink bottles that take some time, a little bit of skill to install because you actually have to fill up a reservoir. So once that reservoir is full, Epson estimates the included tank provides 2 years of ink. So if you do want faxing capabilities, then the HP is the only way to go. It can do things like print, copy, scan, and fax, whereas the Epson, you're stuck with just print, copy, and scan. It's got a much bigger touchscreen, so it's got a 2.7-inch screen versus 1.44 inches. It's got an Ethernet jack, and as a house who's hardwired, that is awesome to have. It just makes it a little more reliable if you are into that. Also for the apps, so HP has a Smart app, Epson has their iPrint app, which you can only use on iOS or Android, whereas the HP Smart app you can use on iOS, Android, Windows, or Mac. So when it comes down to it, the HP OfficeJet Pro 8035 just does more for home and business. Just having the Ethernet jack alone is a big enough reason for a lot of people to want to go with the HP, but things like the bigger screen, the more app functionality, the faxing capability, and you're paying less for it, really makes it a no-brainer. With EcoTank, you pay more and you get more ink up front, but with the OfficeJet printer, you get more features, which I think adds a kind of a greater long-term value. So this has been my life for the past couple months. There was nothing fancy and nothing added here. This has really been my setup and my life. If there's anything in particular you want to check out, we'll link to it all down below. And if you saw something in the video that I didn't mention, you've got a question on, again, leave in the comments and I'll try to answer everyone.